Welcome back, everybody, to MLG StarCraft 2 Anaheim 2014, and we are so incredibly excited to be bringing you guys the winner bracket final.
That's right, it's going to be a Terran versus Zerg. Polt up against viOLet. We just finished a fantastic lower bracket final between Scarlet and Trap. I know you guys enjoyed these games. You having a good time here?
Well, Nate, if you didn't enjoy that semifinals or that lower bracket match, as you say, then I don't know if StarCraft will ever make you excited, because what a series that was. I have not seen a PvZ like that on Frost in forever. I do not understand how that happened. I don't even want to think about it anymore. It was too crazy.
Such a nail-biting series, such fantastic play from both Scarlet and Trap alike. But it's time to get into this this final for the winners bracket. First, we're going to hear from our two players, viOLet and Polt. Axel Toss, do your thing.
Thank you, Nathanius in Rotterdam. You two are handsome as always. Of course, I am joined by two equally as handsome individuals. I got Polt on my right, I have viOLet on my left, getting ready for the winners bracket final. Both of you are playing fantastic StarCraft thus far. So first of all, congratulations for getting to the top 3. But we're not done just yet. Polt, I want to start with you. We've had a night to kind of relax. I know yesterday was a very long day, but we've had a night to regroup, relax, and now how are we feeling entering this best of 3 against viOLet?
Last 2 days were very long and tiring days, and actually I've been really resting until now today, but honestly I don't like resting all day. I prefer to work more. I want to play more, and it was about to get bored, but now I'm seeing the spectators crowd awaken me. I'm so ready now.
That's awesome. Bonnie, same question to you. It's been a night to rest, relax, but now it's time to get into gameplay mode. How are you feeling right now entering this match?
Actually, I kind of a little party last night, so a little tired, but you know. But I still tried my best for a win and more party, you know?
Oh man, I love it. Okay, I think the crowd is ready. I'm ready. It seems like you two are ready. Any words for your opponent before we get into the match?
We might have to play again next match, and maybe you have to beat me 2 times, so I'll think about that.
Any response? Any words for Polt?
I will do it.
Short, sweet, simple, we're ready. Polt versus viOLet, are you guys ready? Nathanius in Rotterdam, back to you.
Toss, we're getting ready to kick off this winners bracket final. Both players so good. These guys have such a close relationship, working together, multiple projects. You guys just saw the promo video we just had on the stream here for the training camp that they're doing. Both these guys taking 5 StarCraft players under their wings to bring them against each other, and now they have to face off head to head.
It is a really fantastic story. If you would have told me in the start of the weekend that Polt and viOLet would be here in the winner bracket final, I would have said that your name is Andrew from CSM, because that would just be wishful thinking. But they have done it, man. It's 2 Koreans that moved to Atlanta, Georgia, live together, play together, and they are doing it. We had some of the best Korean StarCraft 2 players here in the world, but the 2 players that moved to the US are actually the ones in the winner bracket final. They're guaranteed of at least $5,500, at least 350 WCS points, but of course they want nothing more than take it all home. And how cool is it as well that Polt is our reigning MLG Anaheim champion, as he won here last year.
That's right, he's 1 series away from another grand final, getting a lot of support from this awesome crowd. I love seeing these signs out here. It's been a fantastic weekend of games. This series, I mean, we look at it on paper, Polt's had a really good tournament run so far. viOLet has not disappointed either, though, and this is just I can't say it anymore. I'm so excited for this series.
I think it's going to be really cool as well, especially when it's 2 guys that are so incredibly close to each other. It's not just StarCraft anymore. It's so much about the mind games. And if there is one aspect of viOLet's play that has really impressed me over the weekend, it hasn't been his micro, it hasn't been his macros. That was always good. His decision making has been good, but just his craziness, his unpredictability, and the moment he makes decisions which are very unlike viOLet. I've seen him bust out multiple early pulls throughout this entire tournament, and he made so many correct calls. calls. He played smarter than he ever did, and he was always already a little bit of a different Zerg than some of the other Zergs out there, not super straightforward. So I really think it's going to be hard for Polt to exactly figure out what viOLet is going to bring to the table, because he's gone a little crazy this weekend, but I'm loving it, man.
It's so cool to see. viOLet's been busting out some pretty aggressive styles. These guys played not even more than 2 or so weeks ago for a qualifier for the Intel Extreme Masters. So these guys have seen each other play. We know that they excel in this matchup, and we are just about ready to get into this first game. Just making sure the players are ready to go. Polt versus viOLet. What an awesome series, and it looks like our players are ready, Roddy.
They look really, really focused, and they're ready, we're ready, and hopefully you guys are ready as well.
I think a lot of people are looking forward to this match. We're going to kick things off here for our winner bracket final here at Major League Gaming Anaheim, summer 2014. What an awesome tournament it's been, and what an awesome match to have in a winner bracket final.
Yeah, between 3 long days of StarCraft, and I think today is going to be our best day. We already saw perhaps the best game of the tournament. Hopefully we'll still see a better one, but that's going to be very, very, very hard. Either way, it's incredibly cool to have these two guys in the final, and will Polt make it to back-to-back grand finals of MLG Anaheim? It would be incredibly impressive. Either way, I'm ready, and as you guys can see, we are loaded into our very first game of the final.
That's right, our first player in the top left position, the red Terran representing Cooler Master Storm. It is Captain America Polt.
And over here on the right bottom side of the map, we have the very handsome Blue Zerg player represented by the CSN agency. It is viOLet.
The cheers have never been so close. So many fans, so many people coming out to this wonderful tournament to support their favorite players, and it all begins here to determine who gets to go to the grand finals. Of course, it's important to note, whoever loses this series still has another chance. There could potentially be the rematch that we were talking about in the pregame interview.
There's definitely a chance for that, but on the other end, if you've just seen Trap play, I don't think anyone wants to play against Trap now. Perhaps Trap was a little tired the first day as he dropped a couple of best of threes, but how he has played today, he looks like an incredibly scary player. So neither of these two players, even when they win this series, can think that they've done it all already, because Trap is hungry, man. Trap is out there for blood as well.
That's right. Scary. I think it's safe to say, aside from really wanting to win this series to get to the grand final, you don't want to have to play against Trap. And so you look at this matchup, you look at these two players. viOLet, we know he's done some crazy aggressive builds. He's one of those guys that's not shy to do the very fast roach attacks off 2-3 bases. We know that Polt loves to go for that early Viking, loves to do a lot of Hellion harass, and he's brought a couple of cool builds that not many other Terran players have been busting out so far at this MLG.
Yeah, I really look forward to small things like that. Polt's Viking that somehow sometimes gets 6 or 7 Overlord kills. There's no way that viOLet doesn't expect something like that. viOLet, of course, knows Polt in and out. And even last week, they've been spending a lot of time together at the Battlegrounds North America. I'm pretty sure that they've been talking a lot about strategies, especially because Polt looked like he was struggling a tiny bit against Zerg, but it could have just been against Scarlet only as well. As Scarlet is, of course, a very different type of player than viOLet. But it's really interesting to know they've shared so much information with each other. They always try to help each other in the matchup, and now suddenly they're each other's opponent in one of the biggest stages out there.
And that's one of the cool potential mind games that can come into this, playing together. They practice in the same place. You ever watch one of them stream the other guy's 5 feet away? It's such a cool relationship that gives us these interesting, different games, and it's going to come down to whether or not they can predict what the other player is going to do, because we know that either of them can get really aggressive. They busted out some crazy builds so far this last week.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun, because Polt perhaps told viOLet that he should do this and this and this in the matchup. Now viOLet is going to try it, and it doesn't work at all. And viOLet's like, hey man, friendship is on the line over here, Nate. It's more than just a game.
Yeah, you got to imagine Polt asked viOLet for some advice after all those losses to Scarlet, and this is going to be cool. So the Reaper for Polt's going to move in. Just wants to know what's going on. What exactly is viOLet up to? Scouts the gas these Zerglings, not quite able to catch up to it, but at the very least, Polt's not able to do any work or harass. He's not able to get in there and deal any damage. This game, he's going to open up with 3 Reapers, so he does have a little bit of aggressive potential, but those Queens, pretty good at holding things away.
Yep, so far everything is very standard. We see the 3 Reapers from Polt. He's going to try to dance back and forth a little bit. Most of the time, like roughly 10-15 seconds before speed finishes up, he sends those Reapers back home, unless he wants to gamble, but he's not doing that this time, and there is no need for him to do that either. You know, it's just, I'm just really excited. I can't wait to see how they will play it out. I can't wait to see if Polt is going to play more in the line of what we've seen in the last 2 days, or what we've seen 2-3 weeks ago when they played against each other, as Polt back then looked like a very different player in this matchup.
Yeah, it's one of the things. Polt's kind of, we've seen a lot more success in Terran versus Protoss, but we still know his TVZ is as sharp as ever. And this build from Polt doesn't look too unusual compared to what we've seen from him so far.
Close. It's not going to get it. Would have actually been a very nice little pick-off. All these small things really help out in the start of the game. Polt has been phenomenal about denying creep throughout the last week in pretty much every single TVZ that I've seen him play, and that is too going to be incredibly important, especially since we all know that viOLet does love his banelings as well.
Yeah, viOLet's no stranger to the very aggressive builds. We've seen him actually on this map get a lot of success in some of those qualifiers we were talking about earlier with big roach-based pushes. So Polt needs to keep his eyes open for the wide variety of builds that viOLet can bring to the table. And Polt, back home, he's getting a Marauder. This is something that he loves to do, and it's cool because it gives you that early safety blanket. It can help anchor an early defense. And I would be surprised if anything other than a Viking came out of this.
Yes, if it's not a Viking, then we're going to have to double check that player booth, because then it ain't Polt. A couple of Zerglings is running around for viOLet. viOLet wants to make sure nothing too crazy is going on. He has Overlords around the base of Polt, so he will know that everything is going to be relatively standard. There are not too many Overlords out on the map, but if I was him, I would still send perhaps the one on the right top side back. But I guess at first he wants to keep it there to make sure that it's not a medevac with a couple of Hellbats in it, for instance.
Yeah, it's a scary build that a lot of players have been throwing around, this early Hellbat pressure. Polt's been shying away from it over the course of this tournament especially, but already getting very aggressive up in viOLet's face with these Hellions and Reapers, trying to get a few drones right in the middle line. Nice catch though, surrounding with the workers.
The drones are still a little bit lined up there, but I think you're right. I think viOLet is handling this extremely well. He will end up losing a few drones, but really not all that many. 8 have gone down, but that was for 4 Hellions and 3 Reapers. I think that is something that he can live with, because he should have enough time to re-establish his economy and now have much more freedom with those Zerglings out on the map.
In situations like this, Terran players that go for fast third command centers, I would say you have an advantage. But Polt's been playing still off this 2 base. It's been increasingly popular in this matchup. So this from viOLet is not the worst damage ever. It's going to be a lot of pressure from Polt, but his third base is much faster than Polt's. In this situation, if he doesn't take critical damage from the actual strike when this armory completes, he's going to be in a nice spot moving forward. But right now, all he has access to are just speedlings.
Well, I mean, the fact that there is no Roach Warren, it's actually kind of nice for viOLet that he picked off all these Hellions though. Otherwise it would have been a real trouble. Like dealing with 3 Hellbats is okay, as the armory is about to finish up. But if it would have been 7 or 8 Hellbats, and it's very, very dangerous to engage that with just Zerglings. Because right now in this game, already 5 Hellions have gone down, but there are still 4 or 5 Hellions out on the map. Imagine if all of them could have transferred into Hellbats without a Roach Warren, well, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point, to keep that count as low as possible. Scan for Polt, we'll see that the lair is on the way. He doesn't have to worry about really fast Mutalisks. viOLet is playing straight up. He's getting his double upgrades going. Meanwhile, Polt's engineering bays are going to complete as well. So trying to bring the queens forward, spreading the creep. This is actually pretty solid creep spread from viOLet.
Yeah.
The closer you want to get out towards the center of that map, gives you scouting, gives you extra information. Polt's going to add on his infrastructure in the midst of all of this.
This is what Polt always does. 2 Hellbats, 4 Marauders in the main base, a couple of Hellions on this base. Of course, viOLet is aware of this. He's going to be able to trap these Hellions almost immediately. They will morph into Hellbats, but I think viOLet will be able to clean this up. But of course, actually, you can't underestimate this.
Yeah, singeing those Zerglings, and the drop trying to hit inside the main base. Here it comes. He's got Stim, 4 Marauders, 2 Hellbats. Even Queens are going to have a lot of trouble with this. He's in the mineral line.
There are very few units out on the map, actually. A lot of Zerglings will spawn and perhaps die immediately. The Marauders might actually start working on this spawning pool. It's going to take a little bit of damage. I think eventually viOLet will clean this up, but of course he wants to make sure he doesn't lose too many Zerglings or perhaps even the spawning pool.
Yeah, I love the position he's put himself in. These Marauders covered from the Zerglings by those Hellbats. These Medivacs took just far enough behind that viOLet can't get them with his Queens, and he's trading away so many units, so many Zerglings still not mining off of his main base, and Polt's gonna escape with 1 medevac and these juicy Marauders.
Got 11 drones for his effort and killed an amazing amount of Zerglings as well throughout this game. 50 Zerglings have died already. It's only a 16-minute game as well. A couple of Marauders being dropped in this additional base, but there's not a whole lot for them to get done over here. But I think that Polt in the long run was pretty pleased with that. He got the worker damage and of course a lot of indirect economic damage damage as well, as viOLet was forced to pull workers from 2 bases on separate locations.
And this is so frustrating to deal with as a Zerg player because this Spire is about as late as you're ever going to see it in a regular macro-based game. You don't have that early anti-air to chase that medevac down. Polt could bring that back for a later attack. The 1-1 is going to complete for both of these players, though.
There are 41 Zerglings on the map and 20 more on the production tab. viOLet is going to try to make it very hard for Polt to take this base. And Polt doesn't have the crazy amount of Marines yet. Look at the production tab. That's 30 Banelings.
Now, this is viOLet saying, you've done some damage. I would like to do a little bit back to you.
Polt is moving out. Polt might actually be able to see this in time. It's going to be extremely close, but there we do see these Marines. There is Baneling speed, no spread at all for Polt.
Hits all of Polt's Marines, chasing forward, splits the Banelings, takes out both Widowmines. There's only 5 Marines to fight, like 30 Banelings here. She's continuing to move up. The bunker not loaded just yet, but Polt's splitting in his own natural.
Yeah, he has like 18 Marines to currently work with. He's going to lose a lot of SCVs regardless, but if he stabilizes, then it might not be the end of the world yet, but a lot of SCVs will fall, perhaps a few more than he would like to.
A fantastic counterattack from viOLet, saying your Hellbats don't scare me. His bunker under assault. Polt really needs this to hold on to this third base. The RCDs will be able to save it. Polt's income has stabilized. He's producing Marines in his main base. Now he's going to come through his ramp. There's no more Banelings, so he should be able to get these Lings out of his base.
Yeah, there are only 12 Marines out on the map. There are 10 on the production tab, but from this point on, there are still 50, 60 Lings and a lot of Banelings. Not sure if viOLet still wants to commit, but I think if he rolls in one more time with Banelings, it might not necessarily be a bad decision.
Yeah, this is really impressive because you have this back and forth where viOLet's taking this bit of damage, and I think he's done just enough back to Polt. The workers killed is actually very close between the two of these guys, and viOLet still holds that slight worker advantage overall, which is where you want to be as a Zerg player when there's 3 command centers on the map.
And above all, he's been able to spread creep pretty much uncontested because Polt has been a little reckless with his Hellions early on. And if this keeps going, then I think Polt's going to have a lot of trouble because in general, Polt is very good in denying creep. But if it's going to be the complete other story when the entire map is going to be covered in creep, I'm not sure if Polt will ever be able to be aggressive. And soon when viOLet decides to go up to 4 bases, I'm not sure if Polt will be able to deal any economic damage.
There's 2 big problems for viOLet right now, though. The investment into all of those Banelings has stunted his Mutalisk production. He will only have 6 Mutas out. We're breaking that 15-minute mark. His 2-2, about almost 2 minutes behind the +2 upgrades of Polt. So Polt's going to have an upgrade advantage. His medevacs are going to go unhindered because there's no anti-air. So this is going to be a tough couple of minutes for viOLet.
Definitely. It's so nice for viOLet that he has this creep because he's actually in a lot of trouble now. Polt's army supply is 104 already against only 60 of viOLet. But Polt is a little careful about how he wants to go at this. But now he does decide to drop a couple of units in the main base. Are there any Banelings? Where are the Banelings? We have 17 of them, but none of them are over here.
Banelings are on the left side. These Marines running away. Picks up just in time, not losing too much. The Mutalisk, as few units as viOLet has, a solid hold so far.
Yep, definitely. Polt's still up 30 army supply though, and he does have that upgrade advantage currently as he's sitting on 2-2. And it's going to take a solid minute from this point on before viOLet gets his 2-2. However, that was a very scary moment for viOLet, being down 45 army supply in this matchup. Could have gone a lot worse.
Yeah, for sure. And now the Mutalisk count is starting to get towards a reasonable number, 11, 10. You're going to start to be able to push these medevacs away a bit more quickly. His 2-2 is coming close to completion. And Polt will, of course, start the +3 upgrades. But this position is more than manageable for viOLet if he can continue to take such good engagements. He really needs to focus on getting this 4th base up, though.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised that he didn't morph in a 4th hatchery yet. Most Zerg players would have done it a long time ago by now. Widowmine gets a reasonable shut off. Widowmine does a little bit of friendly fire as well there. One Mutalisk or one medevac might actually get picked off by these Mutas.
Solid Widowmine shot so far. There's really not a lot of Banelings.
HP.
Barely escaping. You know, he starts the 4th base. There's already a bunch of Marines running towards the southwest side. The army for viOLet not in position, kills the hatchery. These Banelings, though, get right on top of the Marines. Polt needs to watch his home defense.
He has plenty of units to work with. Army supply is a little closer than before, but it's still going to be really hard for these Banelings to roll in. There are quite a few Widowmines in the mix. However, it's a crazy amount of Banelings, though.
Polt's pre-split reasonably well in his natural, but there's just such a ridiculous number of Banelings moving in, almost killing this command center. Does lift off. The Mutalists are going to focus the command center down. It's running low on health. I think there might be too many Marines to fight just with the Mutas, though. And Polt's going back into the 3rd base during all of this.
Polt is dealing a lot of economic damage on the other side of the map as well, and viOLet has no units over here at all. Where did the command center go? Did it? No, it didn't die. I was like, what the hell? There's no way they should have died.
Extended break.
But this hatchery will die, though. It's not just Nexuses that Polt likes to kill. Apparently he enjoys hatcheries as well.
anything that gathers resources is a target for Polt.
Every now and then his own command center, but only when he won already.
Sure. Why not? +3 attack is going to complete soon for Polt. These upgrades, if we talk about this game being even, this gives a bigger edge for Polt. He's up significantly in supply, but most of it was originally in that army supply. viOLet hasn't been able to get out the forces that he wants. He has a lot of resources in the bank. Yeah. Now he's going to add on Mutalisk, but this is still tough because of how many Marines Polt's getting out of the map. 42.
Definitely, and this really reminds me of old school TVZ, before a lot of Zergs had the confidence to drop that infestation pit and go up to Hive, because viOLet never had 4 bases. He never really had the income to do that, and from this point on I really feel that Polt can actually take it down a notch and just relax and enjoy those upgrade advantages that he has. 3-3 Marines will trade very well against 2-2 Banelings and Zerglings eventually, especially when viOLet is on 3 bases, and Polt is pretty busy in securing his 4th base with a planetary fortress in the middle of the map.
You make a very good point. Because viOLet's on 3 bases, it's easier for him to bounce between them and defend against any drops. Polt with this 4th base, typically you're up against a 5-base Zerg at this point, and these forces, he's going to bleed a few out. It's most important that Polt stays patient. The only way I feel he could really lose his advantage is if he overextends with small groups of units all around the map. And look at this, in the midst of all these attacks, still another drop somehow gets by that 4th base, and there's nothing here to defend.
No, a couple of Marines are just chilling there, waiting on till the right moment, but if they would have gone in immediately, there is a chance they would have been able to cancel that hatch. Perhaps Polt wants to show his army first in the middle of the map and be like, hey viOLet, take a look at this army, and then go for the hatchery. Well, he's still going to go for it. viOLet will try to save it. We can see a lot of units streaming in from the minimap, but it's going to be too late, and this is going really well for Polt.
And I don't really see how I
don't really see how viOLet can stabilize this, even though those are really good Baneling connections. Wow, those were very good, but he just doesn't have the economy that he needs to compete with the economy of Polt.
And there's so much here now with those +3 upgrades. The Zerglings having a really hard time killing these Marines under the Medivacs. These Marines are champs, but well, I guess the Banelings put an end to that.
Yeah. Eventually, viOLet cleans this up, but I'm sure that Polt is still completely okay with how this game is unfolding. He's a 4-base Terran now that's sitting on 3-3 upgrades against a 3-base Zerg that doesn't even have an infestation pit yet, that doesn't have access to Hive. 3-3 upgrades are centuries away now for viOLet. I don't really see how he's going to turn this game around, Nate.
I mean, we've seen a couple of really good Baneling hits. viOLet just needs to somehow get the most cost-effective engagement possible. Polt's continuing to press in, and you know, viOLet's been very impressively held on from the early stages of this harass, but this next attack coming in, there's not many Banelings left ready to fight this, just 2 Banelings, 4 more on the way. This 4th base is going to get denied once again, and I don't think viOLet has enough to stop this push. GG game number 1 goes to CM Storm's Polt.
Wow, and a pretty convincing display there of his skill in this matchup. viOLet trying to catch Polt off guard with some crazy Baneling aggression, and a few times it looked scary. It looked like it might snowball out of control, but perhaps once or twice he really underestimated a few Marines that were like tucked away in corners, and he started working on buildings instead of units, and then Polt stabilized. And in the end you can really see if Zerg does not have a 4th base, they can just throw away a crazy amount of Banelings like that because you have nothing at home anymore to defend.
Yeah, it was just hectic, right? The way that the whole back and forth at the start went. You have you know, the Hellion push, he ran in with the Reapers, and as much damage as it did and as much damage as viOLet did back, the decision to go for the really heavy Baneling attack, I can see situations where it would work, but how much it delayed the upgrades and the Mutalisk just allowed Polt to take complete map dominance. So a map 1 victory for Polt here in this this winners final.
Yeah, but viOLet got a tiny bit unlucky though as well, because remember that bunker, if that bunker would have just died, then maybe he can actually send a few more Zerglings towards that 3rd base as well, can pick off a few SCVs there, and then instead of getting 10, 11 SCVs, there's a good chance he gets 20, and perhaps we're looking at a different game. Either way, we're going to head over to a very small break, and after that we'll be back with the winner bracket final game 2.